XL Columbia W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Please press button now. No, number one.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblum, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk Media Network, Tuesday night edition as we grind along here, just like the football players. We are grinding along in summer camp. Well, not like the football players. I mean, they're out there sweating and hurting and hitting one another, and we're sipping cold iced tea and watching them and wondering how good are they going to be? How good is that player going to be? What's going to make the difference here? What's going to make the difference there? So they continue to wind their way through camp, and South Carolina gets its first off day tomorrow after working every day since Friday. And Clemson was off on Sunday. Tigers working yesterday, today, and through the week until they take a break next Sunday. They'll scrimmage. I think Clemson has a scrimmage on Thursday, and South Carolina has a scrimmage
Saturday
coming up on Saturday. Clemson scrimmaging on Saturday?
Yes.
Okay.
They put on full pads on Thursday.
Okay.
Clemson does.
Okay. Both of them scrimmaging on Saturday then. So Saturday, a big day, a key day to kind of get some idea of who's moving where on the roster and what jobs are going to be filled and things like that. We look forward to that being the next step in the process. Tonight, we'll hear more from both camps, also more from some SEC and ACC coaches. Kerry Tharp, we'll hear from him, the president of Darlington. Will Muschamp met with the media today in Athens. And for the first time since he made the move from South Carolina over to Georgia, he wasn't asked a question about South Carolina, and he didn't offer up any thoughts about his time at South Carolina. And I think that it's very poor on his part and very poor on people advising him never to say anything about his departure from South Carolina, not even I don't want to say exactly how he would say it, but I mean, a thank you of some sort to the Gamecock fans would have been appropriate when it all came down. I mean, I know it was heartbreaking and it had to be a big kick to the ego and very disappointing for him and his family to, see it end abruptly the way it did. Still, the University of South Carolina afforded him a great living and paid him handsomely. Of course, they agreed to it. He negotiated in good faith, and they agreed to the buyout and the terms of the contract. Still, you do you put something out through the media where you thank the fans for their support. You thank Ray Tanner for the opportunity, et cetera, et cetera. There's none of that. There had been word one from Will Muschamp back towards the Gamecocks, and of course he'll be coming to Columbia next month with the Bulldogs. And I think he's on the sideline. He's not up in the booth. I think he works from the sideline with being the co-defensive coordinator. I could be wrong on that, but whatever the case may be, I mean, we've seen former coaches come to Columbia before.
Oh, yeah.
And, some are ignored and some are greeted one way or the other. I got a feeling there'll be a faction of Gamecock fans who will have a not so friendly welcome for Muschamp when the Bulldogs are on the field warming up, I would imagine. I mean, I'm sure there's some people, I got to be honest with you. I mean, put me in the camp of those who I was stunned. I think it's a good word. I was stunned that he wasn't more successful at South Carolina. Yeah. He got it going, had a winning season, a bowl game his first year. Well, didn't have a winning season. I think the bowl game made him a loser. But then they won 9 games the next year. They beat Michigan. And for all intents and purposes, it looked like they were on their way. They had a proven quarterback coming back to start the next season. They had an outstanding receiver in Shi Smith and other good pieces on that team. And to blow that lead to North Carolina and then to see Bentley go down for the season, that changed everything for them. Actually, you could actually go back and I like to think that things started to change for them um, when they lost that lead at Florida the previous year. They were dominating Florida up and down the field in Gainesville, looked like a really good football team, and ended up losing that game. And really, they were not the same from that point moving on. They got shut out. I'm trying to remember now. They got shut out in the bowl game. After that, wasn't it Virginia that shut them out in the bowl game?
Yeah, 28-0.
Right. But I'm trying to get my they that would have been the third year.
Right.
Trying to remember. Bentley went down the beginning of the third year, didn't he? Was it the beginning of the fourth year that he went? They lost to North. That was when it was.
No,
they lost to
Bentley
Virginia.
Would not have been.
Yeah, they lost
Bentley's
to Virginia.
Not that old.
They lost to Virginia, and then they lost the next game to North Carolina. That's right, back-to-back games in Charlotte, and then he got hurt, and then it was pretty much all downhill from there. It was that Florida game of that year that they had the lead in Gainesville and lost it, and then got shut out in the bowl game. Got beat by Clemson, of course, and it was all downhill. But the point in all this is, I think it would have been appropriate at some point in time for Muschamp to say something back to the fans of South Carolina.
Go out as a winner, whether or not you did actually on the field. Have some class when you leave, because that's what you're trying to teach your players, isn't it? You're going to get fired from jobs. We all have, Phil. But I think the one thing you can do is handle that with some aplomb a little bit, and Muschamp didn't. South Carolina gave him a second opportunity after Florida debacle, and everybody said this was a bad hire. He can't coach. He's an assistant coach at best. He coaches defense. He can recruit. That's all he can do. And USC gave him an opportunity, and to leave and never say word one about what happened in South Carolina, and not at least thank the USC fans and the administration for giving you another opportunity. You can't be upset that you got fired. I mean, everybody saw that coming. You can't. That certainly did not come to him as a surprise. You handle things going out the door as well as you do coming in the door. And Muschamp has handled this about as poorly as possible. And I hope South Carolina blows Georgia out just for that standpoint alone.
Well,
it's
not like he hasn't had his chances to say something back to South Carolina, and he had a chance today because he said, hey, look, before we start taking questions talking about Georgia, I want to say something that I should have said a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody, first time he met with the media, and it was an entire Georgia-centric media crew, and nobody thought to ask him a question about his time at South Carolina and anything like that. Maybe, what'd you learn? Why'd you come up short? Or, do you hope to be a head coach again? So we'll play a little bit of that for you. Not so much him talking about the X's and O's, but his comments about joining Georgia, being with Kirby Smart, what it's like being in the role he's in now as a co-defensive coordinator and stuff like that. So we'll have some of that for you coming up. And as I mentioned, more from USC and Clemson camps as the Gamecocks worked out this morning. And then we had a chance to talk to a few of the players. And Clemson is working out as we speak, or probably just about wrapping up. I think they're going to do a little something with some players this afternoon as well. So got all that coming your way tonight, plus your phone calls, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. If you want to dial us up, we can take your phone calls and hear what's on your mind tonight. And I see that looks like ESPN has dropped out of contention in the bidding for the television rights to the Big Ten. And, it's like, okay, well, look, they're going to be on television, okay, whether it's on ESPN or Fox or CBS or NBC or some combination of all the above. The Big Ten games are going to be on television when you can see them. If you're a Big Ten fan, it's not like no ESPN. How am I going to watch the games? They're going to be out there. But ESPN, I think they were offering $380 million, or maybe that's what the Big Ten was asking for. And, the two sides couldn't come together on that. Plus, there were some other things involved in the discussions that the two sides couldn't get together on. So I guess you could say this is the first shoe to drop now in this stage of the remaking of the college football model. The next shoe to drop, we've had, of course, reconfiguration of the conferences, and now we're going to see what's going to happen here with these television contracts over the next few years.
Well, the interesting part about at least what I read last night is NBC is in the mix for Big Ten football, and the speculation is they may carry the night game. So, what does that mean for Notre Dame games that happen to be played at night, especially in South Bend, where NBC has the broadcast rights? Do they bump those games over to Peacock, or does the Big Ten go over to Peacock? I think that's going to be a fascinating situation. And if Notre Dame starts losing games from linear television over to streaming, do they say, you know what? Maybe it's time for us to jump into the Big Ten. And to me, I think this is the first salvo if you're NBC and some of the other ones that are hoping that if we put enough pressure television-wise on Notre Dame, that they'll finally join a conference. And hopefully, in our case, NBC, CBS, and Fox, it'll be the Big Ten.
Yeah, unless they come up with a way that Notre Dame can't make the playoffs by being independent, I don't ever see Notre Dame join a conference. But why should they? I mean, why should they? I mean, they've got their cake and they can eat it too. Where they are right now, they're getting big dollars.
But if they start losing money from TV revenue,
how are they going to lose money? They don't have to share it with anybody.
No, that's my point, though. If NBC starts, cutting a little bit of what they're giving them because they have to put them over on streaming audio, streaming television as opposed to linear TV, is that going to be enough to force them into a conference, in particular the Big Ten?
I mean, look, I'm no TV executive. I'm no producer. I watch a lot of television. That's about as close as I get to it. I can't see them taking Notre Dame and putting them on Peacock. I can't see Notre Dame accepting that. And I can't see Notre Dame doing anything to change their position until and if they come up with a new format that puts them in a position where it limits their ability to make the playoffs.
But if you have the Big Ten contract and you have, let's say, Michigan and Michigan State in October, middle of October, and they bump it to a night game, and Notre Dame is hosting Air Force that weekend, which game are you going to put on NBC?
I mean, I don't know the wording of their contract right now. It might be right now, Notre Dame, all their games have to be on the main channel. You can't subjugate them to a back channel or to a streaming device,
I mean, if NASCAR can screw up the way they're doing things with regards to Darlington, I think NBC can screw it up with regards to Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty poor that, Darlington will be on USA Network. I mean, this is a playoff. This is the first playoff race. You would think it'd be on the main. Well, you can bring that up to Kerry again for like the 15th time. I'm sure
Kerry is so tired of me telling him that, and he agrees with me.
Yeah.
But there's only so much he can say, so I have to say it for him before we bring him on. It's ridiculous that the playoff race at the most historic track on the circuit gets put on the alternate channel.
I agree with you. I agree 100%.
So if they're going to do that for NASCAR, why wouldn't they do that for Notre Dame?
Ooh, breaking news out of Orangeburg. We're going to be there tomorrow. At least I hope they'll still welcome us in tomorrow. State University President Alexander Conyers this afternoon announced the termination of Director of Athletics Stacy Danley effective immediately. Interesting.
Any reason given?
No, I mean, I could read the story, but I just saw the headline. I just read you the headline. Danley out as South Carolina State AD. This is in the T&D, the Times and Democrat. He was not under contract with the university, Danley. South Carolina State has made the decision to move our athletics program in a different direction, the president said in a release. Mr. Danley, we thank him for his service to the university. We wish him well in his future endeavors. Do you think that they just have a sheet of paper that has all that written on there like years in advance and just write in somebody's name? Because all these releases, when somebody gets fired, they have the same wording. We wish him well, his future endeavors. We thank you for your service.
We're going in a different direction.
Keisha Campbell has been appointed interim director of athletics for South Carolina State, and that's all it says right now.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Interesting. Did not see that coming. We're supposed to be over there tomorrow for our Palmetto Pigskin tour. So I guess we'll hear more about that when the time comes. All right, let's hit the break, and we'll come back and take some of your phone calls and get into other things tonight here on Sports Talk. What a way to start the program. Phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number here on Sports Talk. If you want to dial us up, love to hear from you. Since 2002, more than $174 million in lottery proceeds have been used to purchase, maintain, and fuel over 2,000 school buses in South Carolina. Learn more about the lottery's impact at sceducationlottery.com SportsTalk.com/education wins, and playing for fun is a win for education. We'll be back after the break here on Sports Talk.
Summer weather has arrived in South Carolina, and you know what that means. Sweet, tasty South Carolina peaches are hitting shelves near you. Most people tend to think of Georgia as the peach state, but South Carolina is the East Coast's top producing peach state, so we know a thing or two about a great tasting peach. The next time you're in the grocery store or local farmer's market, keep an eye out for those sweet, tasty, certified SC peaches. Discover more about the tastier peach state at scpeach.org.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
We're with Major Billy Downer of DNR. Of course, South Carolina is great for the hunters, Major. What do the hunters need to remember before they get out in the fields?
It seems like every other show we're talking about hunting safety of some sort. One thing we want hunters in this state to remember is always identify your target and what lies beyond it. Make sure before you pull that trigger that you know what you're looking at. Whether it's a turkey during turkey season or a deer during deer season, you know your identifying features of your game. You know what's beyond that target in case you miss.
Learn more about the great outdoors in South Carolina with Major Billy Downer on SC Wild here on the Sports Talk Media Network.
It all builds up to this at Darlington Raceway.
If you're going to kick off the playoffs,
Good stop, guys.
why not do it big?
Green flag is up.
Like Labor Day weekend big.
Get in your car here. That's how you make a move.
Like Southern 500 big. The only thing bigger than the action would be the experience of seeing it live. And that
I got into the wall.
might just be too tough to take.
Bring it home, bring it home.
NASCAR Playoffs weekend at Darlington Raceway, September 3rd through the 4th. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
All right, to the phones we go. 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. And as we go to the phones, I want to remind you that as we start to run out of days here in the summer, here in August, it's a great time to get away from where you are and get down to the beach because people are leaving the beach. That just means there's more room for you and me to go down there and spread out and enjoy ourselves. You won't have the traffic. You won't have the noise quite as bad as you do during the middle of the summertime when the vacation is hot and heavy. But this is your vacation to get away from everything. And to do that, best place to go is Pawleys Island or Litchfield in that area of the coast. And the people to call would be right there at PawleysVacationRentals.com. That's Jimmy Smith. That phone number is 843-237-4246. Your perfect beach getaway is just a phone call away, or go online at PawleysVacationRentals.com. You know, Pawleys is a beautiful place. Jimmy Smith is the man to call to make it all happen for you. Maybe you just want a weekend getaway, maybe something a little longer, like a week or a month stay. Boy, a great time of year to get down to the beach, August, September. Go ahead and make your plans now by giving Jimmy a call at 843-237-4246 at PawleysVacationRentals.com. And we go to your phone calls. And it's Jim in Conway. He's part of the way to Pawleys Island. Jim, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Oh, just fine. I have two topics that I'd like to bring up, and I'll give you the topics, and I'd like to hang up and just listen to it on the radio.
All right.
The first is South Carolina. We play Georgia State the first game, and I was looking at the Las Vegas odds, and South Carolina's only favored by 11 points. I thought Georgia State must not be that bad of a team.
They're
and
not. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The second subject was Mike Morgan. I used to love to hear him announce the basketball games and baseball games for the Gamecocks. And then all of a sudden, I think it was Dietzel's daughter, and I don't think she was a university employee, but she had some kind of controversy with him, and he was gone. And I sure miss him. He's one of the best announcers there is. And I'll hang up and listen to you on the radio.
Thank you. Well, now you can catch Jim with us most every Thursday night at 7:05. Talking. Did I say Jim? You can catch Mike with us every Thursday night, talking Mike things here on Sports Talk. So as far as the end there for him, and it was a little bit of a business disagreement situation going on there, I believe, and they just decided to part ways. Things have worked out well for Mike. He's very happy with what he's doing, and he became a freelancer and then picked up with ESPN. He's got a great career going, doing ESPN work and doing some national radio work, and free to travel and do a bunch of different teams than just one team. Now, I don't want to speak for Mike. I think if that thing had never occurred and he could have continued as the voice of the Gamecocks and all the sports, he would have certainly stuck with that. Maybe if they had made him the football play-by-play announcer as well. I think that's the apple that everybody looks for. Of course, if you're an SEC announcer, you want football to be part of your resume. But that wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to happen anytime soon. So good move for him. It worked out well. Landed on his feet, and his talent has carried him to where he is today. Which is pretty high up. The poll there in terms of ESPN and being a national type announcer. And then as far as Georgia State in South Carolina, I think, people don't really know what to expect yet from South Carolina. Vegas doesn't know what to expect yet from South Carolina. Georgia State's a bowl team from last year. Pretty competitive team in the Sun Belt. Those teams can cause you a problem if you're not ready for them. If you don't play good football, Chris, you see them every Saturday, more or less. So, and you've seen Georgia State. They'll have a quarterback from South Carolina. Their starting quarterback will be a South Carolinian. Yeah, and his backup is the kid from Chapman from a few years ago.
They're going to give South Carolina fits. I will tell you, Gamecock fans, this right now. That 11 points, that's probably a pretty fair spread. If the Gamecocks win by 2 touchdowns, I think that's a really, really good win. It may not be judged that way nationally, but I think if they win by 2 touchdowns, that's a really good victory over a solid Georgia State team. And let's not forget how excited their head coach is going to be about coming back to Columbia. I mean, Sean Elliott is going to have those guys ready to play, because here's a golden opportunity for him to come into Columbia and pull off a major upset. And it's not unusual for Georgia State. What they beat Tennessee a couple of seasons ago, if memory serves. So this is not this is not your typical lower level FCS type team. This is a very, very good FBS program at the mid-major level.
Yeah, they have 15 starters coming back from an 8-5 team that went 6-2 in conference play last year, and a team that they have some good players. Remember, they've got former Gamecock Jamias Williams, one of their running backs. They've got the running back from Gray Collegiate.
Tucker Gregg. No,
the running back from Gray Collegiate, the freshman.
Oh, sorry. Gregg was their leading rusher from last year. My bad.
Yeah. The running back from Gray Collegiate, KZ Adams.
Yep.
Who is, lightning quick. And you heard when we had the coach on with us in the spring that they're going to make good use out of him. So the quarterback, Darren Granger, who started his career at Furman, 6'4", 200, 11 starts last year, 60%. 1,715 passing yards, 19 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, and he rushed for 660 yards. Mikhail Colasardo, who's from Chapman, is the backup quarterback. So you got 2 South Carolina products running the offense there. So, but where South Carolina should have the advantage is on the line of scrimmage. I mean, the Gamecocks should be better up front on both the offensive and defensive lines and handle their business there. Should be able to run the football against these guys, I would think, by lining up and doing just that. Last year, Let's see. Last year, the Georgia State team gave up 27 points and over 400 yards per game. So I would look for the Gamecocks to have a good offensive night against Georgia State and win the game by about 3 touchdowns. I'd lay the points, to be quite honest with you. We'll be back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast, cloudy with some possible evening shower activity and a low of 74. Tomorrow, much like today, but rain chances increase to 40%. Look for a high of 93. The rain chances are good for Thursday and Friday, while the weekend is shaping up to be wonderful. Low humidity and highs in the upper 80s with sunny skies for Saturday and Sunday. Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Reporting powerful explosions rocked a Russian airbase in Crimea and sent towering clouds of smoke over the landscape Tuesday in what may mark an escalation of the war in Ukraine. At least one person was killed and several others were wounded, authorities said. Russia's defense ministry denied the Saki base on the Black Sea had been shelled and said instead that munitions had blown up there. Authorities have charged 51-year-old Mohammed Syed in the killings of 2 Muslim men in New Mexico's largest city, and he's suspected of slaying 2 others. Officials announced the man's arrest Tuesday after he was taken into custody the day before. The killings began in November. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 58 points, the Nasdaq dropped 150, the S&P lower by 17, oil down 26 cents to $90.50 a barrel. This is SRN News.
I'm already a big fan of Medicare Blueprint. Tim and his team saved me several $1,000s. They took a look at my health insurance. They helped me get the best possible plan. But not long ago, I reached out when we had a crisis. The big bad insurance company out of nowhere just canceled Mom's medicine for her multiple sclerosis. No warning, 30 years, same med, and just like that, gone. Here's the good news. Medicare Blueprint doesn't work for the insurance companies. They work for you. They're local. Imagine me trying to get this fixed, calling some national toll-free number. Outsourced operators never talk to the same person twice. Medicare Blueprint went to work, helped me get Mom's meds back, and how's this? Even less expensively than we were paying before. Incredible customer service and local. What a great formula. Oh, and it cost me nothing for their services. Nothing. Whether you're on Medicare or not, my mom is, I'm not. Medicare Blueprint help both of us. Online, it's MedicareBlueprint.com or call them 708-7398. That's 708-7398.
When you're a military veteran with over 40,000 organizations trying to help you, it can be hard to find the right information. That's why AARP brings together valuable resources to help you navigate your options. AARP.org/veterans. With the free veteran employment and fraud prevention resources, caregiving tools, and access to discounts, AARP, on a mission to support veterans. Visit AARP.org/veterans today. Our animal shelters are overflowing, so Columbia Animal Services makes adoption easy. It's time to clear the shelters. For the entire month of August, it's free adoption for dogs and cats. If you've wanted to get a family pooch or that special kitty cat, visit petfinder.com and bring a new family member home for free the entire month of August. Now is the time. Let's clear the shelters. Find your dog or cat right now at petfinder.com and adopt for free in August.
You know what? I get asked every now and then, Kev, when you say my guy, do you really have a my guy at Palmetto Exterminators? Well, I really do. Ron Byers is my guy. Do you realize I've been a customer of Palmetto Exterminators for 20 years this summer? That's over the course of 3 homes, longer than my kids have been around. I'm loyal to Palmetto Exterminators for several reasons. First, they do a phenomenal job with pest control for a very fair price. It's just not a concern around my home. They take care of everything from regular visits to termite inspection, mosquito care. This is a company that's been around for more than 60 years serving the Midlands. When they come around, they're clean, they're courteous, and they're on time. Look, it's not just me. When it comes to things like those pesky mosquitoes, Palmetto Exterminators voted Best of Columbia in Columbia Metropolitan for their mosquito control. I could have told you that before anyone even voted. What else can you possibly need from your pest control company? If you're looking for someone to help you, look no further than my guy, Ron Byers, Palmetto Exterminators. Online, it's palmettoexterminators.net, or call them 254-5833, 254-5833.
Are you from California, Illinois, New York, Georgia, or any of the
All right, back we are, Sports Talk Media Network across the state of South Carolina. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel all together. Phone number 888-998-2525. Couple of quick notes. We'll be back to your phone calls on this Tuesday night. Our poll question of the week, make sure you answer that. It's a fun poll question. We've had more people drop in ideas to us as well. Our poll question, something we picked up on from last week over the controversy about the live Gamecock mascot and needing a new nickname. So right now, after 218 votes, 59.2% say Dr. Pecker, 20.2% like Spurmeister, 14.2% prefer Cockster, and 6.4% they like Cockrock or Cockroach. No, Cockrock. Now, let's see. We've had some suggestions. Dave says kill yourself. Okay. Bobby here goes with DB Cooper, Coop DeVille, Tu Wang Z,
like
and the
one.
Big Crow. Coop DeVille. Yeah, that's not bad.
I like that one. Yeah, I like Coop DeVille.
Michael says pass. No sense of humor there. I like this one. A guy that says, I want to talk to Ralph Sampson. Where do they come up with these names? Rooster Cockburn. Rooster Cockburn. Spartacus. Or
Spartacus is nice. Yeah.
Spartacus. Oh, Spartacus. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
From the 300 and Spartacus.
Spartacus. Yeah.
Spartacus. Yeah.
Awesome cock the rooster. Throw it in the dirt. Says these suck. Okay. Well, the guy Jay Ford says, dude. James says big spur or just spur. Oh, Dr. Pecker. There's somebody with the name Dr. Pecker on Twitter who says reporting for duty. Kyle gives us a little cocky. One cocky Gamecock says none of the above. Don C says spur. SL Hill called him Curtis. Bobby Hope Jr. He likes Spartacus. Big Spurrier, top cock, WB Cooper. WB Williams Bryce. Is that Williams Bryce Cooper?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Thomas the Tomcat says LMAO clowns. How about Chicken Little? Jay Ray says Dr. Pecker ain't it, Chief. Yeah. And John says feels like a 16-year-old came up with these. Dr. Pecker, what is wrong with y'all? That's on you,
Here's
Pat.
the problem.
You came up with Dr. Pecker. Yeah.
Here's the problem with social media. People talk about how, common decency has been lost in social media. No, that's not it. A sense of humor has been lost on social media. No one has a sense of humor anymore. Mm-hmm. This was a fun poll question.
Fun.
Go have some fun with it, folks.
Fun.
Good grief.
Get off your high horse.
Exactly.
By the way, Cohen Carr, the 6'7" forward out of Greenville Early College, committed to Michigan State a couple of seconds ago. The guy that South Carolina and Clemson were both in on. We'll have recruiting for you coming up in a little bit. In the meantime, back to your phone calls on this Tuesday night as we go to Andy in Columbia. Andy, welcome into Sports Talk. Good to have you with us.
Good evening, Phil.
Yep.
Hope Chris, Pat, hope y'all all doing well.
All good.
We're well,
buddy. I have a steady line I could talk to you on because I was dropping like something coming out of whatever we're going to call the bird a little later on. But my name.
Oh, yeah.
How about the Big Pecker?
No. That's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, question that I didn't get to ask you last night. Is Christian Miller still with the Panthers, or is he still in the NFL? Do you have?
Pat, you're the Panthers expert. Christian Miller's still with the Panthers? I think he is, isn't he? The linebacker, defensive end,
No,
Corey's son.
He's currently a free agent.
Oh, is he really? Okay.
But let me confirm that, but I know he was, unless they just invited him back at camp. But he had been a free agent as of about a month ago. Let me check.
That's what I was curious if he had been picked up by anybody or not.
Call Corey and ask him.
Well, Corey's busy upstate doing his new gig, so I don't want to mess with him.
He's big time.
He's too big to get mad. Not someone like you I could probably knock around.
Big time.
Corey, there's no knocking him nothing. He'll knock me.
I saw him in SEC Media Days. Is that where I saw him? Saw him somewhere, and he gave me a forearm shiver about knocked me through a wall.
Well, y'all are bedmates.
That was a love tap. That was a love tap. It was knocked me down.
Y'all's Omaha trip where you spent 2 weeks in the same hotel room together.
Woo!
I mean, that y'all are very personal.
That was quite the trip. Quite the trip.
Regarding Mr. Muschamp, number one, all we wanted was an ATM to him. Who gives a crap what he has to say? He's right where he belongs with his head up Kirby's rear end, following someone because he's no leader. He's only a follower. So he's in a perfect position.
So you wouldn't matter to you one bit if he said, Gamecock fans, thanks for the memories.
What's he going to tell us? Sorry I sucked? I mean, come on. I mean, who needs to hear any word out of him? What I'd like to hear from him, here's your money back. Sorry I screwed y'all so bad. That's what I'd like to hear from him.
Well, now, you weren't saying this after they won 9 games in year 2.
No, I was saying into next year. After we gave him all that money, he was sending back.
Well, I mean, and the next year he got you to a bowl game in 3 straight years, right? Am I right about that? Yeah.
Please, he did it with other coaches, players. And,
well, I go back to what I said earlier. I was stunned that it didn't work out for Muschamp. I thought Muschamp, and I'll tell you why I said that. I don't know what his attitude was around the football offices. I mean, obviously it's different from what Shane Beamer is, 2 different type of people. But I thought he worked hard. I thought he grinded. I thought he recruited hard. I thought he knew his players. I thought he knew his team inside out. He never had to look at a piece of paper to tell you about a player, where he was from, who his coach was, who his parents are. To me, that indicated being connected to your team and to your players. And I thought, from the outside looking in, I thought he had a good connection with his players. I never heard players complain about Muschamp publicly.
Until he was gone, right? Then we heard a little bit of scuttlebutt about him.
Well,
correct?
I don't know. I haven't heard that much. I've heard some people say good things about him. I've heard people say good things. Former players say some good things about him, not really try to badmouth him. So, I'm just speaking. I was surprised it didn't work out for him at South Carolina. I thought he was going to do a heck of a job, to be honest with you. And again, he got it off to a good start, but he couldn't maintain it. The loss of Bentley to open that season against North Carolina, and they just didn't have a quarterback ready to go, just like last year when they didn't have a quarterback ready to go. When they lost Doty in camp, they were lost at sea without a quarterback.
2 other things for you. One thing, something Jim said. Liz isn't related to Dietzl, is she?
No, not that I know of.
Okay, that's what I was like. My brother went to school with her. I was like, I don't think they're related. So that's what I was curious about. And
don't
last
think
thing,
so.
LGM. Have a very good night, fellas.
LGM. Oh, now we got to think about this. What does that mean? Laugh?
No idea.
Good morning. It's got something to do with the Mets, probably. Is that the name of
Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets.
Oh, is
There
that
you
what
go.
that is?
Yeah. Let's go
See,
Mets.
I hit it. I hit it out of the ballpark.
There you go. Yep.
Hey, the Mets are red hot right now. They are red
They
hot.
are. And
They've
they're gonna
opened
win
up a
the East.
7-game lead on
They're going to win
the
East.
Bravos. Are the Braves
They've
going to
got
make the
2 good-
playoffs? The Braves going to get
The
get
Braves
in
will
this
be a
wild card?
wild card team, but I think the Mets with their pitching staff, if they don't win the East, I'll be stunned.
Yeah.
When you can go Scherzer and DeGrom back to back, how do you deal with that?
Yeah. We continue with the calls as we go to Ron in Greenville. Ron, welcome into Sports Talk. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good, Phil. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. Hope you're doing well.
Well, yeah. A while ago, I heard y'all talking. You said that South Carolina was preseason favored by 11 over Georgia State. I was just wondering, do you have any other lines on the Carolina game or the Clemson game? I heard one on the Clemson-Georgia Tech game. I just don't believe.
What'd you hear?
19.
Too small or too large?
Oh, way too large.
Oh, way too large. Really,
Yeah.
Ron? You don't think Clemson's going to blow them out?
No, not at Georgia Tech.
Yeah. The only other line I've heard, and we can look them up real quick. I'm sure there's some future lines out there. Gamecocks are 21-point underdogs to Georgia, and I'll take me a piece of that too. Give me that. By the way, the Gamecocks will put 50 on Georgia State. Mark it down. Mark it down.
Nope.
Okay.
Mark it down. And they'll play Georgia to better than 3 touchdowns. Might even beat them.
Oh, Bill.
Come on, Ron. Shane Train, baby. It's year 2 of the Shane Train.
And every one of the lines I see for Clemson, Georgia Tech has Clemson at least a 3-touchdown favorite.
Is that right? Where do you think Clemson, South Carolina is? I heard the same thing for that game.
You mean the game in November?
Good grief.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, if they were playing to open the season, it would probably be a 3-touchdown spread. Would you agree with that? Probably be a 3-touchdown spread. History and, got to show me something, South Carolina. Clemson, despite everything last year, was still a 10-win team. So probably be a 3-touchdown spread today. By November, we'll have to see what the teams are doing.
Yeah. They got to show me some offense.
Yes, they do. They got to show you some better quarterback play. No question about it.
Okay.
All right, buddy.
I got one for you here.
All right.
Head coach of South Carolina is Shane Beamer.
Yes.
Okay. What about? I've done forgot what I was going to say. You were talking a while ago. I done forgot what I was going to say.
Happens to me all the time.
Okay, buddy.
All right.
Hey, it's that old age, buddy.
I know. Or something
Okay.
else. Thank you, Ron.
Okay,
Appreciate
bye-bye.
it very much. All right. Yeah, I was just looking back here for a moment at Muschamp. 17, they went 9-4.
Yeah.
All right. 18, and they went 6-7, if my memory's right, which isn't always the case, but 6-7 in year 1, lost to South Florida in overtime, right? Then they went 9-4, beat Michigan. And then they went 7-6, and that's when they lost to Virginia. And it was that year.
The bottom fell out.
It was that year at Florida. They were up big and lost 35-31. And then they beat Chattanooga. Okay. Played that shootout game with Clemson when very misleading, because even though the Gamecocks had 500 yards and 35 points, Clemson could have scored 100 that night. There was just no stopping Clemson's offense that night. They beat Akron, and then they lost to Virginia in the shutout, 28-0 with no Debo. And then they lose that game to North Carolina. He gets hurt. Bentley does. And then it's, that's pretty much the tail of the season right there. They go 4-8. And then 2020, they end up firing Muschamp after losing at Mississippi 59-42. They finished 2-8. This thing could have been entirely different if Bentley doesn't get hurt.
Very possible. And regardless, our point is valid. Muschamp should have had some sort of class for South Carolina in terms of what they offered him, another opportunity after the Florida situation. It didn't go well down in Florida, and he got another chance to be a head coach in the SEC, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
He could not have been surprised. It's not like the Gamecocks went 9-3, and then 10-2, and then 8-4, and then they fired him. I mean, it was a steady decline. He could not have been surprised that he was shown the door.
Yeah, I agree. But, if you're him and you say, look, I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Mm-hmm.
He said, look, man, I took you to 3 straight bowl games, and then I lose my quarterback. Okay, we have a bad year. And then we've got COVID in 2020. And
everybody did, though.
Yeah, but they were, sure, everybody did, but everybody should have a pass for whatever you did in the COVID year. Mm-hmm. But they didn't give him a pass. They fired him during the COVID year. And that was it, 4+ years. I'm not saying, if things going to turn out okay for South Carolina, we'll see what happens this year. The feeling is that this program is on a positive trajectory under Shane Beamer. It's a different attitude, a different mood. The players they're recruiting seem to love everything about this coaching staff. They love them. Every player just loves them to death, the ones that they are heavily involved with. And I mean, they've gotten themselves involved with some. I mean, if they pull a Nicholas Harbor out of Virginia, simply because of the love that they're showing him, et cetera, I mean, that'd be pretty amazing. They got Marquis Anderson. They won a major recruiting battle for him in state. That same thing with Rames. I mean, they've won a lot of players over simply because of the whatever how you define love between a coaching staff and a recruit. They're doing it and it's working. But Muschamp's recruiting classes weren't terrible.
You got to go win. You got to
They
go
weren't
win.
terrible. I mean, don't forget that he got Ryan Helinski, and he was like, he was an Elite 11 quarterback. He got to Kerryon Joyner. He was an Elite 11 quarterback.
Yeah.
His problem,
I mean,
of course,
Andy,
the thing about it, what hurt him at Florida, continued at South Carolina, of course, was lack of offensive continuity, offensive coordinator issues, et cetera, et cetera. We all know the history. I don't have to repeat it. I'm just saying that I was surprised it didn't work out better for Muschamp. I thought he was going to be a success. I thought
but Andy brought up a point that you hear all the time about coaches who fail that were successful early. And you can apply that right now to Shane Beamer. Well, he was using XYZ coaches' players. Well, I mean, Kerryon Joyner beat North Carolina pretty much single-handedly, and he's a Will Muschamp player.
Mm-hmm.
So do you give Shane Beamer credit for that? Or do you give Will Muschamp credit for bringing him on campus?
Well, Jaheim Bell is
and there's
Muschamp signing. All those key guys are pretty much Muschamp signings. All right, we continue with your phone calls here on Sports Talk 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Let's go to Joel in Florence. Next up here on Sports Talk. Hey, Joel, welcome in.
Hey, Phil, how you doing? And thank you for taking my call. I want to go back to when you started your show yesterday. You played golf at Traces, love Traces, and Chris made the comment he lives a 3 hour away from there. There's $1 million homes on that golf course.
That's him. His is the one. His is the one on number 12, right? Yours is the one on number 12. Up against
Joel,
the lake.
maybe that was an exaggeration. Maybe it's a 3 iron and then a 3 wood to get to my house. I'm not right there.
Well, Chris will know where I'm talking about. I'm a half a mile down the road from there. I live in Charters, so I'm in the Port District. But anyways, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And when I played there this morning, I told the boys that DJ and the boys that run the course that you gave them a compliment. But what I called about is I'm hearing first team. I'm hearing all about Zach Pickens, but I'm hearing nothing about Jordan Birch. What's going on with Jordan Birch?
You know what? I echo those sentiments. I saw a depth chart came out yesterday from the guys at the state who were out there watching closely. When I'm out there, I'm not watching as closely as the newspaper guys are. They're writing down every number and every position, et cetera, et cetera. And they listed their two deep depth chart that they saw on the field and did not include him, which surprised me. Now, it could have been, again, I don't want to make too much out of it because you got players rotating in and out of positions all day long at these different spots in camp. You're looking at different combinations. But right now, they show Jordan Strawn, Alex Huntley, Zach Pickens, and Tyreek Johnson across the front. And then you've got, I'm assuming Birch is backing up at one of those end spots with MJ Webb and Taka Hemingway and Hot Rod Fitton. By the way, that's like his official name. It's no longer Rodriguez. It's Hot Rod. Hot Rod Fitton. And then you got Gilbert Edmond, who's had apparently a good camp and a good showing, and Terrell Dawkins, a couple of others backing up at the end spots. But I'm not saying there's anything bad going on or that he's not on the depth chart, the official depth chart, and showing up. But I haven't heard much about him either to this point.
Well, I appreciate the update, and you fellas have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Continue with your phone calls, 888-898-2525, Sports Talk Media Network, as we go to, let's see, we're going to go to, got to find the list. Bobby in Charlotte. Hello, Bobby. Good to have you with us tonight from the Queen City. How are you?
Hey, Phil. Hey, Chris. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, the discussion about Muschamp is kind of in the momentum of the program. It's kind of got me thinking, and it's something I've been talking about, like with my buddies. So I'm in my early 40s, so I don't really have that much of a memory as far as our coaches, say, beyond like Brad Scott. And I mean, I knew Sparky Woods who he was, but what I mean is when Lou Holtz came, when Steve Spurrier came here, they obviously had credibility. It didn't really matter what happened. Obviously, Holtz in year one, especially, we still had faith in them. Then you get to Muschamp, and here's my thing. I agree with you. The program's in an upward direction. Recruiting's in an upward direction. It sounds great right now. Here's what gives me pause. The guy that I most remember is Will Muschamp, like you guys have been talking about. And we basically said all the same things about Will Muschamp after year one that we did about Shane after year one. And then in year two, Muschamp jumped up and we made a big deal because he won 9 games. Well, if you look back at it, he didn't beat anybody worth anything that year. Even Michigan was like 8-5 that season. And so when I look at last year, we didn't beat a Power 5 team with a winning record. And so I just wonder, am I just being too much of a kind of negative, I'm just kind of like shell-shocked from the Muschamp era. I feel like maybe we've gotten a little too much hype going into this season based on actual results so far. Is that fair? Or is that something that might concern you based on what we went through during the Muschamp era?
Well, to answer your question about that 9-win season, they did beat Arkansas. They were they were underdogs, and they beat Arkansas. They were an underdog to Tennessee, and they beat them. They were a favorite to beat Florida and beat them. They were underdogs to Missouri and beat them. They were underdogs to NC State and won that game. So they were underdogs and won a lot of games. They were favored to beat Kentucky and got beat. They played A&M. They were a 7-point dog and lost by 7. So, I mean, look, you got to beat who you can beat, and you got to play who's in front of you. And you never know year to year who's up, who's going to be down. I mean, who foresaw 2 or 3 years ago Kentucky becoming a formidable team in the East, down picked as high as second? As far as in the East for this year, as far as what you're saying, I mean, if the Gamecocks don't live up to the hype, they've got no one to blame but themselves because they're self-hyping. I mean, their video team over there, and let's face it, fans live on YouTube and Twitter, and their video team is churning out the promotional announcements about their football program and the hype about their football program. They've been doing it all spring, all summer, and now to the point where they've got the Gamecock fan base genuinely excited about this upcoming season and thinking about going beyond what they did last year. But that's what it's all about. I mean, that's part of the fun. Let's don't lose sight of having some fun with college football. I know now it's truly business. It's dollars and cents. It's money in the hands and in the pockets. I get that, but let's don't lose sight of the fact that the fun part is, projecting your team to do something and hoping they can reach that point. But their hype machine inside their football program has really done the job of boosting the hopes of Gamecock fans, Chris, to I'm not going to say an all-time high, and I'm not going to say it's a false high for them. I mean, are they shouting at the rainbows here? Are they going to have something to back it up? Usually your second year, like with Muschamp, his second year was much better than his first. Second years are usually Lou Holtz's second year was better than the first. Second go around, same staff in place for the most part. Players are used to you. Calls are the same. It's just you don't have to relearn everything when you start camp. You jump right into it.
Well, I think Bobby brings up a point that most Gamecock fans have. We're waiting for that other shoe to fall type deal. And I think USC fans should embrace the opportunity of coming off a bowl win. I think that was a surprise. I don't think anybody felt that they would dominate North Carolina going into Charlotte the way they did last year. The recruiting is certainly at hitting a different level, and bringing in a quarterback as talented as Spencer Rattler. Had I told you at this time last year that USC's starting quarterback next season will be a guy who was a preseason Heisman favorite at Oklahoma, you would have laughed at me. Mm-hmm. But that's where they are now. So I don't think, expectations being 8-9 wins should be out of the realm of possibility.
Well, it's like I said,
got to go out and do it.
I said last night, you look at the team and you say, at what positions are you going to be better than most of your opponents? And we can go back and review that. But, I mean, there are several positions on the offense, I think, where South Carolina will be better than their opponents, which should lead to some success. And we'll be back.
A message from the Ad Council.
Someone will be right with you.
I'm Charles Tilledesma.
The White House says President Biden has no prior knowledge of the FBI's search of Donald Trump's home. White House correspondent Greg Clugston has that story. And
Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says the president learned of the FBI search through public reports.
He was not aware of this. Nobody in the White House was. We were not given a heads up.
She stressed the independence of the Justice Department and refused to comment on the investigation or the search. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Authorities have charged 51-year-old Mohammed Syed in the killings of 2 Muslim men in New Mexico's largest city, and he's suspected of slaying 2 others. Officials announced the man's arrest Tuesday after he was taken into custody the day before. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 58 points, the Nasdaq dropped 150, the S&P 500 lower by 17. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
How long does it take to tackle a home project? With Angie, you could cross it off your list before this ad is over. Just tell us what you need, indoor or outdoor, repair or redesign, and we handle the rest, sending a top pro to get it done. You don't have to lift a finger, except to tap the screen or click the mouse. Plus, Angie is free to use. So bring us your next home project, and we'll bring it home. Download the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com to get started.
A tax credit potentially worth thousands of dollars may not be as good as it sounds, so says the auto industry. Correspondent Rita Foley reports.
If it becomes law, the tax credit of up to $7,500 could be used to defray the cost of an electric vehicle. But the auto industry says over time, the restrictions become so tight that it's possible no EVs would qualify for the tax credit in a few years. Any cars above $55,000 wouldn't be eligible, nor would trucks or SUVs with sticker prices above $80,000. And an electric vehicle would have to have a battery built in North America with minerals mined or recycled on the continent. An auto industry spokesman says right now, most of the electric, hydrogen, or plug-in hybrid models sold in the U.S. would not meet the requirements. I'm Rita Foley.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast, cloudy with some possible evening shower activity and a low of 74. Tomorrow, much like today, but rain chances increase to 40%. Look for a high of 93. The rain chances are good for Thursday and Friday, while the weekend is shaping up to be wonderful. Low humidity and highs in the upper 80s with sunny skies for Saturday and Sunday. Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, we're back on Sports Talk Media Network on a Tuesday night. So good to have you with us wherever you are across the state of South Carolina. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel all together once again. Great phone calls in the first hour. We'll continue with more calls and dive into other stuff coming up. 888-898-2525 is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. Before we get back to your calls, however, last night we talked with Coach Staley from over at, now at Ridgeview High School. Was over at AC Flora about his player who's headed to South Carolina, committed over the weekend. And then Gamecocks got another commitment from right in their backyard the next day. Arden Conyers, 6'6" forward from Westwood High School in the Blythewood. His coach is Coach John Combs. And Coach Combs joins us here on Sports Talk to tell us more about him. So he's not the original Wizard of Westwood, but he is a wizard, and he is at Westwood. Coach, how are you? It's great to have you with us.
Well, I'm great. I don't know what I'm a wizard at, but I'll take anything that you say as a good thing with that. Thank you for having me on.
Well, listen, you do a great job. You've done a great job with the South Carolina Basketball Coaches Association, which I hate to say it, you probably know this better than I do. In our state, that's kind of a thankless job.
Well, so we've got a lot of great coaches that really support what we're trying to do, and basketball is becoming increasingly important. So I'm very appreciative of the opportunity our coaches have given me to help try to serve our state in basketball as best I can.
That's great. Well, keep working away at it. And, basketball is, it's there. The attention is there. We all love basketball. We love college basketball, and it goes down to high school basketball as well. And I think attendance looks good at high school basketball games. The state championship games are packed in. The playoffs draw big crowds. So I know the interest is there. It's just that football's just become so dominant. And you probably see this too. Football's become such a time-consuming sport where a guy used to play football, take off his cleats and his shoulder pads, go right to basketball. And I'm sure there's some conflicts between some football programs and basketball programs over who gets the player when the season's over.
Well, Phil, let's think about it here. We're talking high school basketball, college basketball today in August, when most of the time we're talking about football. But there is an interest in the public. Now, I'm not crazy. I know this is a football state, dominant, whatever you want to call it. But this is also a basketball state. Basketball is really important to people here. Basketball, it was just a couple of weeks ago or so that they had the Nike Peach Jam down in North Augusta, South Carolina, and you had Bronny James. LeBron was down there. He worked out at North Augusta High School for 3 days. So it's just kind of crazy how big, then you just had Gigi Jackson just commit, signed with South Carolina. South Carolina is a basketball state.
Well, look, just flash back a couple of years to the players that we just sent to the NBA when you've got, the top 2 picks in the draft come out of the state of South Carolina in one season. Were they top 2 or 2 of the top 3, something like that, right at the very top of the draft, talking about Williamson and Morant. That says something right there about what's happening with high school basketball in South Carolina.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, we've been very fortunate. High school basketball the past few years has been very good. And, when you have the type of a talent that we've got in our state, there's a reason why you got blue bloods that come into it and try to get the best players our state has to offer. And we're a relatively small state as far as population goes. So, basketball is played at a pretty high level here.
Well, and you've got one headed to South Carolina, Arden Conyers, 6'6". And I don't know that too many people knew all that much about him until he hit the summer circuit. And it took off, played it very well. And Lamont Paris and the staff jumped on him and offered and got him. What kind of player are the Gamecocks getting in him?
Well, first of all, they're getting a young man who's just, first and foremost, he's a great person. I mean, that works really hard and just loves to compete, loves the game of basketball. And the thing, he wants to be at South Carolina. But he's a guy this past year, he shot 38.5% from three. And frankly, I think he was a little off. I mean, I think he's a 40% three-point shooter.
Wow.
As Coach George Glimpse just used to say, he's not a shooter, he's a maker. Everybody thinks they're a shooter.
Well, that's a great line. Yeah, that's a great line. Yeah.
And only George Glimpse could come up with something
no
like
doubt.
that. Which is the absolute truth. But he is a maker. Matter of fact, we played AC Flora last year, our second time, and with Colin Murray Bowles, and it was an absolute battle. And we were down, and Arden Conyers hit a dagger three to give us the lead and help us win the game against Flora, who was number one in the state at the time. But Arden he is not a better than average three-point shooter. He's an excellent three-point shooter. And I think with a little bit of time, and when he makes that adjustment from high school to college, I don't see any reason why that won't translate. He's an extremely hard worker. He's coming into his own as far as his frame. I know once he gets to college and he gets into a college weight room with a college nutrition program, he is going to be really good because he's gotten better in the weight room. He started working on that. But I know once you get to that next level, it even takes off more so, and he's going to gain more confidence. I mean, this past year, he averaged about 18 points per game for us in a very difficult league and, against really good competition. I mean, this past year, we played in the summertime in June in Rock Hill at the live evaluation period in front of a lot of Division I coaches, including Coach Paris and his staff. We played against Lexington High School, and Arden Conyers went head-to-toe with Cam Scott from Lexington, who I think is one of the best players in the state and the country. So Arden likes competition, and he wants to play against the best. He's really good dribbling the ball 2 to 3 bounces and pulling up. I mean, he's probably a 3-2, 4 in the high school level, but he won't play at 4 at the college, I wouldn't think.
Mm-hmm.
And I even hate to just place labels on kids on positions, because every coach does things differently. But I know this, he is a maker. There's times we'll put the ball in his hands, and if he wants to run it from the top, and he can bring the ball up the court some. So he's only going to get better with that, and that's the thing I like about him. He's trending upward in his development.
John Combs, head varsity boys basketball coach at Westwood High School, our guest tonight, chatting about his protege, Arden Conyers, who committed to South Carolina over the weekend. And Coach, walk us through what you've learned over the past couple of months about Lamont Paris and what he sold in terms of the USC program that made Arden think, you know what, I can win and I can excel and I can do some good things here at home.
Well, I will say this, Coach Paris and his staff, and what I would also include, Terry Rich on there.
Yeah.
Right from the get-go, when they've got into town, they got hired. They sent Coach Eddie Shannon over to see us to watch us work out, and had an opportunity to watch Arden. I believe that was in April when they were able to come out. One of the first coaches to do that, and they developed a relationship then, and then they saw Arden continue to grow over time. I mean, I've had a lot of, before they were even really seriously recruiting Arden, I talked a lot with the staff there, Coach Tim Buckley, Tanner Bronson, Eddie Shannon, David McKinley. I mean, they have made a very big effort to get to know the high school coaches in our state. And there's no doubt you can tell. And first of all, you do have to give Kerry Rich a lot of credit for that, because he's able to, filter them in the direction of who they needed to contact. One thing that really impressed me at that June evaluation camp up in Rock Hill when it was a live period, first coach there in the morning was Tim Buckley, the assistant, 9 o'clock. One of the 9 o'clock games in the morning. And there wasn't anybody playing there that I would consider SEC level caliber players at the time, but he's there to develop relationships with people. He wants people to see and that he does take everything serious. And they've spent a lot of time, and they were very accessible at their team camp that they had in June in Columbia. Made sure they introduced themselves to each other, watched a lot of games, and spent time just evaluating Arden, talking to him, developing a relationship. It's not just based on talent. There's got to be a fit on coaching style. There's got to be a fit. Coach Paris and them, they don't want to have someone just on talent. They want somebody who wants to be at South Carolina. They want someone that wants to win and develop. And, you can kind of see that. And they were I don't know if there's any coaching staff that was, not too many other coaching staffs that were at all of Arden's games over the summer like they were. We played in Georgia at a Georgia Live period event in Atlanta, and Coach Paris was there for, I think, all 4 of our games, front and center. He was there evaluating and spent time watching and talking to him and the family. And they did their homework. I know some people might say it was quick. There wasn't anything quick about it. They spent time developing relationships with them.
We had Joshua Staley on last night from Ridgeview chatting about USC, and he made the comment that he believes the best hire that USC men's basketball has made in the last 25 years was Kerry Rich being attached to that program. Is that a fair assessment of what Kerry can bring to the Gamecock program?
All right, absolutely. I mean, there's not too many people that know South Carolina basketball better than Kerry, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and all the above. He can fill people in, and some college coaches, when they go to programs, they go because it is a job. It's not just Kerry's job. Kerry has lived and breathed it. He played it. He poured in the blood, sweat, and tears. The suicides Coach Fogel made him run back in the day. Playing at C.A. Johnson, coaching at C.A. Johnson. Basketball in this state, in this area, is more than just a job. It's a career, it's a lifestyle, whatever you want to call it. It is a passion for them. And so when you bring somebody like that on board, you're making a commitment to this area. And you certainly got to give Coach Paris a lot of credit for doing that.
Before we let you go, in working with Arden one more season coming up, what will you be asking of him? What do you look at and say, okay, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, not only help us, but get ready for the next step in your career?
Well, we're going to continue to, he's just such a hard worker. The thing I loved about him yesterday when we was talking, when he was going to announce, I said, well, you and your family going out, y'all going to celebrate. He goes, I'm going to go in the gym. And that's what he does. He wants to go in the gym and play. He's not a guy that lives on social media. He just wants to get better. And he's not a stat-driven guy. Other than the scoreboard, he wants to win. Like there's times he had one game where he didn't play great, but we won. But you could see that he was thrilled that we won. He didn't care about it. He didn't shoot the ball great. He didn't score. He wanted to win. We are going to ask a lot of him. We are going to ask him to score. We're going to ask him to shoot anytime he gets a good look. We're going to demand that he plays really good defense. We're going to challenge him to be better, put more effort in the weight room. And that's not to say he doesn't put in effort in the weight room. He does, puts in good effort. But we want him to try to get him as best we can ready for the next level. And he's gaining more confidence in his ability. So I'm expecting a big year on him. And, the challenge this year is now there's the bullseye on his back. There's no more, okay, Arden's got a chance to be good. People know him. He's the USC commit. He's a USC signee. So he's got a big challenge ahead of him, but I know he's excited for it.
Do you feel like, and we'll let you go after this, do you feel like your player and do you feel like Murray Boyles were under recruited? I mean, people will take a look at the offer list, and that's what I go by. I look at offer lists and I say, well, all right, South Carolina offered him. Obviously, their coaching staff likes him and feels like they can be SEC winning players, but they didn't have any other real major offers. I know SMU had offered Murray Boyles late, but my question to you is, when people look at that, you feel like these guys are under recruited and are guys that will develop? And when you look back at it, you're going to see a couple of guys that overperformed what their recruiting background would tell you. Oops, did we lose Coach? I went through all that question and his line dropped.
That was a great answer, wasn't it?
Yeah. Stunned him. I think he's calling back, and hopefully he heard the question so I don't have to repeat it. We got Coach with us. Coach, we lost you there.
No, you're going to have to repeat it. I missed it.
Okay, the question, I'll try and be shorter. So you got two guys that were not heavily recruited in terms of their major offers. I mean, basically, South Carolina was the Power 5 offer for both of them. So people might say, what does South Carolina see in these guys that other SEC and ACC teams who saw them in the summer don't see? And so my question is, do you see two guys who are going to outperform what their recruiting background would tell you?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. It's not even close. I mean, I hate to even bring this up, but I'm going to. John Morant didn't have many Power 5 offers up until really late with South Carolina, from what I remember, how that process went. There's other guys too. These guys, they're going to work and develop really hard. I think Gamecock fans are going to be really happy and pleased with their careers. I mean, both of them. Colin Murray Bowles is a hard worker. He's a great kid. His upside's tremendous. He's good on the low block. Arden Conyers does the same thing. They're going to work hard. And I think they're a good fit for Coach Paris. I know the more I got to know Coach Paris, the more I kept thinking he is a great fit for Arden to help develop him to become the best basketball player that he can be. And I just think those guys are both going to have really good careers at the University of South Carolina.
All right, sir. We thank you so much. It's great talking to you again, and maybe we'll see you in the preseason at the gathering. Hopefully, you'll have the gathering again this preseason where you bring everybody together for a luncheon and interviews and things like that.
Absolutely, we will. You'll certainly be invited.
Well, thank you. If there's not a football interference, I'll be there.
Oh, boo.
You know how that goes.
I'm glad you said it, not me. I wasn't going to boo that.
There you go. We thank you so much, and
you.
have a great rest of the night. We'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, fellas.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, Coach. John Combs, the Wizard of Westwood #2. Not to be confused, of course, and he would tell you don't confuse him with the original Wizard of Westwood. And we're back after the break.
Score a touchdown with Founders Federal Credit Union. With services like Founders Online and the Founders app, you'll enjoy all the perks of a big bank with local personalized service. Not a member? Joining Founders Federal Credit Union is easy. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our 37 convenient locations to see if you qualify for membership. Relax with Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Peanuts and baseball, the perfect pair. There's nothing better than enjoying a bag of crunchy, great-tasting in-shell peanuts washed down with your favorite beverage of choice while cheering on your baseball team. This summer, grab a bag or two of delicious protein-packed Virginia Carolina's grown in-shell peanuts. America's favorite snack and America's favorite sport. A match sure to please. This message is brought to you by Virginia Carolina's peanut farmers. To learn more about peanuts, visit the website aboutpeanuts.com. That's right, aboutpeanuts.com. Enjoy a bag of peanuts today.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
I learned that people are just looking for somebody to listen to them. You can't just start cutting somebody's hair and you're going to be quiet the whole time because you're not going to be in business long.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has provided over $800 million to help students attend technical colleges across our state, investing in a new generation of entrepreneurs, just like James. Your passion is our purpose.
If you're looking to stay hydrated this summer, turn toward a southern favorite, sweet South Carolina watermelons. One slice is equivalent to a glass of water and is just as effective as sports drinks for hydration. If you don't believe us, you can ask the Palmetto State's top football teams. The SC Watermelon Association will be serving up slices after summer practice to keep our teams fueled and hydrated. Visit scwatermelon.org for all the details and look for ripe South Carolina watermelons in your hometown.
It all builds up to this at Darlington Raceway. If you're going to kick off the playoffs, good stop, guys. Why not do it big?
Green flag is up.
Like Labor Day weekend big.
Get in your car here. That's how you make a move.
Like Southern 500 big. The only thing bigger than the action would be the experience of seeing it live. And that might just be too tough to take. Bring it home. NASCAR Playoffs Weekend at Darlington Raceway, September 3rd through the 4th. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
All right, thanks to Coach John Combs for being with us. Kerry Tharp coming up in a few minutes, recruiting and more. Let's get back to your phone calls. We appreciate the patience. 888-898-2525 is the phone number. We head next to, is that James? Next up, or who is it, Tiger Bryan, or is it this James? James in Rock Hill. Hello, James. Welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Hey, if I could switch lanes and maybe direct this question with Chris. It's a Carolina baseball recruiting question. The first one is about the pitcher from Providence Day High School in Charlotte, North Carolina. I think his name was Erzenbeck. He didn't get drafted, but Phil, I watched that young man pitch several times this year in Charlotte, and why in the world he didn't get drafted, I have no earthly idea. I don't know if he priced himself out or just what. And if Chris could tell me about the other young man, I think from Seneca or somewhere, whether he sign or was he coming to Carolina?
Okay, from Seneca.
Well, he was from. I don't know if he was from. He was either Seneca or the lower. I mean, that part of the state. And I don't.
I'm
know
looking
if
at my 20. I'm looking at my 22 commitments for the Gamecocks.
Talking about Adam Serwinowski, maybe from Taylor, South Carolina,
from East Side. I'll just tell you that I don't believe the Gamecocks lost anybody to the draft. Did they? In as far as the incoming class is concerned. As far as their signees, I don't recall. I think Jerzenbeck was the guy they were most concerned about.
Yeah, I was just wondering if he priced himself out, or do you know that?
Well, I go by John Whittle, the Big Spur, does a great job covering Gamecock baseball and recruiting and the draft. And if my memory's right, I think he had written something about Jerzenbeck having a pretty good price tag that might have put him in a position where they might not meet it. So if my memory is right, that might have had something to do with it.
Well, he'll be your Friday night starter, Phil.
Right away?
You mark my
No. They got a guy named Will Sanders coming back.
Well,
and Noah Hall.
Will be your Friday night, and then he'll be your Saturday pitcher. Phil, this kid's that good.
Yeah.
I watched him pitch 4 or 5 times. And every time he pitched, it was like 4 or 5 major league scouts behind home plate, and and I was like, my goodness gracious, this young man can pitch. And I really thought he would have been a first-round draft choice, but evidently he priced himself out. That's all I could figure.
Yeah.
All right, I appreciate taking my call.
Thank you very much. That could
I'm
be
looking
the case.
at some of Jerzenbeck's numbers from last year, and he's not wrong, Phil. The kid was 34-0. On the team was 34-0, and he was 13-0. And led the nation in strikeouts with almost 200 and an ERA of .42. Hey, he may not be the Friday night guy, but he'll certainly be in the battle for the weekend rotation, I would think.
The other one I wanted to check on when I said not aware of anybody signing, Jacob Zibin. He's a pitcher from British Columbia. The Gamecocks signed, and he was drafted, I think, 10th round. Excuse me, 10th round. Did he sign? Anybody know off the top of their head? He didn't sign it. You don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I have to do some more checking here. But that's another one. I don't recall if he signed or not. But the guy you're talking about from Charlotte is supposed to be special. Jerzenbeck, he's supposed to be special. And South Carolina this baseball team should make the NCAA tournament and make a run. I'm serious. I mean, with the transfers and what they've got coming in and what's coming back. They'll miss Seitler, and of course they were going to lose Burgess anyway because he was going to transfer. But he signed as a free agent, and let's see, Seitler signed, and they were going to lose Bosnick anyway because he was transferring out.
Right.
Everybody else that can come back is coming back.
Yeah, they should be really good.
I mean, I expect them to be.
If I'm reading this right, it looks like Zybin, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He did sign with the Cleveland Guardians for $1.2 million. If I'm reading this correctly, it's showing that the Guardians made a clean sweep. All 21 of their players they drafted signed.
Okay. That was when I was wondering about after looking over the list. I thought I remembered his name, in the draft and possibly signing. So, but otherwise they made it through in pretty good shape. So that class should be a boost to them with the players coming back. I think should be pretty good. It'll be right there for Mark Kingston to mold into a really good baseball team. And not only, make a strong showing in the SEC upper half and then make some noise in the NCAA tournament. We'll be back after the break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast, cloudy with some possible evening shower activity and a low of 74. Tomorrow, much like today, but rain chances increase to 40%. Look for a high of 93. The rain chances are good for Thursday and Friday, while the weekend is shaping up to be wonderful. Low humidity and highs in the upper 80s with sunny skies for Saturday and Sunday. Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Everyone seems to be hiring these days, but are they good jobs where there's potential for growth? What about on-the-job training and competitive wages, including health insurance and a 401k plan? Professional Printers is looking for their next star. They're a local printer with 2 locations, 130 employees, and a national clientele. If you've got a good attitude, want to learn some great skills, and work in a positive environment, reach out on proprinters.com or apply in person at 301B Greystone Boulevard.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting a 51-year-old man from Afghanistan was charged Tuesday with killing 2 Muslim men in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and authorities said he is suspected in the slayings of 2 others whose deaths sparked fear in Muslim communities nationwide. Officials announced the arrest of Mohammed Syed a day after he was taken into custody. Powerful explosions rocked a Russian airbase in Crimea and sent towering clouds of smoke over the landscape Tuesday in what may mark an escalation of the war in Ukraine. At least 1 person was killed and several others were wounded. Russian warplanes have used the Saki base to strike areas in Ukraine's south on short notice. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 58 points, the Nasdaq dropped 150, the S&P 500 lower by 17, oil down to $90.50 a barrel. This is SRN News.
If you're an avid shooter or you're new to shooting, Shooter's Choice is your paradise. A firearms specialty store with all types of firearms, ammunition, accessories, AR platform rifles, shotguns, hunting rifles, and much more. Shooter's Choice has the largest and best selection of firearms in the area. Shooter's Choice is the oldest, the most professional firearms dealer in the Midlands. They've served us for more than 30 years. Family owned, they've never let themselves lose that hometown feel. You go into Shooter's Choice, you'll get experts who hunt and shoot. It's not like some big box store. Their staff has decades of experience. You just won't get this anywhere else. From the classics to the newest cutting-edge products anywhere in the firearms world, they buy, sell, and trade firearms. They have an indoor firing range for handguns and hunting rifles. If you don't want to spend the gas money, hop on ShootersChoiceSC.com and shop online 24/7. Whatever you choose, Shooter's Choice will make it easy on you. In West Columbia at 944 Sunset Boulevard or online, ShootersChoiceSC.com. Make it your first choice, your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
You've waited to start the big project at your home. Wait no more. All Southern Construction is the local family-owned and operated group to make your dream a reality. We do home additions, sunrooms, decks, and porches. We can also do shingle or metal roofing, and our work is guaranteed. Whether it's a repair or a brand new addition, All Southern Construction will be with you from start to finish. Online, find us at allsouthernconstruction.com or give us a call at 206-4816. That's 206-4816.
When you're a military veteran with over 40,000 organizations trying to help you, it can be hard to find the right information. That's why AARP brings together valuable resources to help you navigate your options. AARP.org/veterans. With the free veteran employment and fraud prevention resources, caregiving tools and access to discounts, AARP on a mission to support veterans. Visit AARP.org/veterans today.
Hi, this is Marcia Clayman.
And I'm Karen Pickard. We're your hosts for the Positive Point on Aging.
We'll talk about aging gracefully and senior care every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m.
Join us right here on The Point for the Positive Point on Aging.
Brought to you by Oakley Village of Lexington.
A well-regulated humidor being necessary to the preservation of a cigar, the right of the people to keep and enjoy cigars shall not be infringed. For those who love a great cigar and want to spend time with others who are like-minded, the Cigar Militia offers the experience you're looking for. We're located in the Colonial Village next to the Melting Pot. The Cigar Militia offers exceptional cigars from around the world, staff to assist you in your selections, private cigar lockers, and a lounge where members can relax and enjoy.
Join us weekday mornings at 7:31 a.m. for Straight to the Point with Pastor Steve Williamson. That's Straight to the Point, weekday mornings, 7:31 a.m. here on The Point, 100.7 FM.
All right, happy Harvick after Michigan, and happy Ford people. They continue to dominate at Michigan. Kevin Harvick gets his first win of the season, first win going back like 65 races. He is in the playoffs. He welcomed Kerry Tharp, president of Darlington, the host of the first playoff race coming up in just a few weeks. Welcome back into Sports Talk. I know you're happy. Not that you have any favorite or anything like that, but you're happy for Happy Harvick and knowing that he's going to be in the playoffs. That adds a veteran, a champion to the playoff field and adds a little more drama.
Oh, no question, Phil. I was very happy for Kevin Harvick. I really, did not like to think of the thought of him maybe not being in the playoffs this year. And former Cup Series champion, he's a three-time winner at Darlington too. So Darlington's been a good place for him. And he's one of those veteran drivers that sometimes over the last couple of years, people may have kind of dismissed a little bit, but he took him to task on Sunday and got the big win, and he'll be amongst that field of 16 when they come to Darlington here in about 3.5 weeks.
I want to ask you this, every sport has its penalties, right? You're holding and that's 15 yards, you're offsides, it's 5 yards. In NASCAR, like in the case of the Michigan race, two guys who were running up front coming off the last pit stop were penalized for violations. And, the penalty was you got to go to the back of the pack. You have to go back to last place. You're first and then you're last. And my question is, you're first and then you're last. Is that for what happened? Like, I think one was a speeding penalty and the other one was coming on pit road too soon or something. But
it might be too fast entering, too fast exiting.
Yeah. My question is, should there be some differences? Like, okay, maybe that's only a half the field penalty instead of the full field. Should there, or because it's like every penalty in the race throws you to the back of the field unless they black flag you and they take you out altogether.
Well, when you do have a miscue on pit road like that, and whether it be entering too fast or exiting too fast, that can be a big advantage. And, they've got those computers and all the technology up there in the race control. I've seen it many, many times. And when it blinks red, that means you're going too fast. And they give them a 5 mile an hour buffer. Is it too strict? I guess you could argue that, but also, if they didn't have a strict penalty, then you probably see more speeding penalties.
Wait a minute. The NASCAR police give you 5 miles an hour. The South Carolina Highway Patrol doesn't give you 5 miles an hour.
Yeah, they do.
Well, they probably don't, but yeah, you get a 5 mile an hour buffer. So let's say the speed on pit road is 55. They're not going to bust you until you do 60.009 or something. So you get a 5 mile grace period in there, and obviously they take full advantage of that. But when you're speeding, you're speeding. And, like I said, and there's a safety factor that goes in there. You don't want people blaring down pit road like they did back in the day. But, I think most of it is a competition thing, an unfair advantage thing. If you were blowing off speed pit road or coming in, fast on pit road, it would give you some spots out on the racetrack as an advantage. And so I think they make it a strict penalty, so you don't want to try to do it.
Bubba Wallace, great showing for him, finishing second. Denny Hamlin did come back from that penalty to finish third, Logano fourth, and Blaney fifth. So as we stand right now, you've got 15 different winners. Only one guy's in the playoff right now without a victory. Now, help me here record-wise since the playoffs were created. Have we ever had this many different winners fill out the playoff field?
I don't think we have, Phil, since we've gone to the field of 16, and that's been probably about 7 or 8 years ago, maybe. Maybe not even quite that long. So we've never had 15 drivers I know we've never had 16 drivers, which would exclude any drivers to get in on points. So right now, the only driver that you would get in if we started the playoffs this weekend at Darlington, the only other driver that would get in other than the 15 winners would be Ryan Blaney because of where he stands in the points. And that would leave Martin Truex Jr. out. So, that's a very precarious situation for these drivers over the next few weeks. There's probably going to be some long nights, some maybe even some sleepless nights for some of these race teams to know that, getting a win secures it for you. And, there was no way Harvick was even going to get close to getting in unless he had won, which he did on Sunday at Michigan. So Ryan Blaney and Martin Truex Jr. right now are the two drivers to watch. And if we get someone else to come in and win, say we had Bubba Wallace win at Daytona, and that's certainly very doable because he's run very, very well there. That means that Blaney and Truex would be out. It would just be the 16 winners.
Gary Tharp, president of Darlington Raceway, with us on this Tuesday, looking back at Michigan and looking forward to the final couple of races before the playoffs begin Labor Day weekend at Darlington. And back to Kevin Harvick for a couple of moments. KT, they were talking ad nauseum on NBC after the race about how this came from out of nowhere. 65 races since he had last won. In terms of Kevin Harvick's career, where would you rank this in terms they talked about clutch wins, and he's nicknamed the closer for a reason, but where would you rank this in terms of must wins and big-time victories for Kevin Harvick?
Well, I'm not sure how Kevin would answer that, but I would have to rank it right near the top. I do know he won at Dover maybe 4 or 5 years ago when he was on the brink of extinction, I think, in one of the playoff rounds. And so he won at Dover to advance to the next round. I'm not sure if that's the year he won the championship or not, Chris, but I'd have to say this would be right up there, because the pressure was on. It was almost like I won't say an elimination game, but I mean, he had this, and then 3 more chances to get into the playoffs. And this probably is his best shot to get in there. I guess you could say Daytona would be kind of a crapshoot too, but I mean, let's look at it. This was his 6th win at Michigan. I think the 5th over the last 7 years. So, I mean, he was definitely looking at this racetrack and circling this track as one that he could possibly win at.
Walk us through how this would work out. I'm assuming it goes back to points, but let's assume for a moment Martin Truex wins this weekend at Richmond, and then Ryan Blaney wins at either the road course at Watkins Glen or at Daytona, and we end up with 17 different winners. How do they determine the 16 that are in the field for the playoffs?
Well, yeah, you would go where you are then on points, and I don't have it here in front of me, but you would shake out how those 17 drivers would be in points, and then you would take, first of all, you go on number of wins, and so the ones that have multiple wins are safe; they'd be in without any issue. And then you look at the drivers that just had the single win. Then you would have to rank them on points and see where they stood, and the driver that had the most points would be the one that got in.
All right, KT, we're getting close. Everything falling into place there at Darlington. What are you guys doing now here in the final weeks leading up? I mean, are we painting walls? Are we cutting grass? Are we drawing lines? What are we doing?
We're doing a little bit of all the above. In fact, we have our our crew that comes in tomorrow will be in tomorrow that starts doing all the logos and the wall signs. Our crew has already painted the white and the red that's on the exterior walls, and our crew is doing an excellent job of keeping the grounds manicured and grass cut. With a lot of that rain that we had over the last 4 or 5 weeks, certainly that grass grows here in Darlington pretty good out in the fields, and then also within the campgrounds. So they're staying busy doing that. They're staying busy making last-minute repairs to some of the facility, whether it be up on the concourse or in the suites and those type of things. But they have a long checklist of things that they have to work on, and they knock them off one by one each day. And couldn't be more proud of the group that we have that works out on the track. And they work extremely hard and extremely hot conditions, but they do a fantastic job for us.
Yeah, they do. The place is always looking great. And last thing before we let you go, we want to get the place sold out. We want it packed. It's playoffs. It's September. It's Labor Day. It's the granddaddy of them all. It's right in the middle of a great football weekend. What a way for South Carolinians to enjoy Labor Day. You got the Gamecocks. You got high school football Friday night. You got some college football Thursday, high school football Friday night, college on Saturday, including the Gamecocks, your race on Sunday, Clemson on Monday night. What a weekend. How are we looking towards getting everything jam-packed in there?
Well, our ticket sales have gone extremely well the last 4 weeks. I mean, we're trending exceptionally well, Phil. I will say this. I don't know if we'll get to sellout status, but I think we'll get pretty close. And so I just encourage our fans to get their tickets. Pretty much infield camping is sold out, but there's still some camping outside and Petty and Pearson. But get your tickets now. These are the best seats that you can get right now. And so get on that website, darlingtonraceway.com, or call 866-459-7223 and get your tickets for the race. It's going to be here in about 27 days. And we want to have the folks here at the track.
Sounds great. We look forward to talking to you next week. We'll go into more details about the weekend and what's going to be taking place. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week, sir.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kerry.
KT, the president of Darlington International Raceway. And the race is going to be great at Darlington. Great way to kick off the playoffs coming off of Daytona, the last non-playoff event.
I'd be really disappointed if we don't sell this race out, especially with them cutting back on the amount of seats available.
Yeah,
I
feel confident. I feel confident in the people. Okay, we'll come back. I want to play that little Will Muschamp piece for you and do recruiting and more calls and stuff coming up.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsibly.sc.com.
Peanuts and baseball, the perfect pair. There's nothing better than enjoying a bag of crunchy, great-tasting in-shell peanuts washed down with your favorite beverage of choice while cheering on your baseball team. This summer, grab a bag or two of delicious protein-packed Virginia Carolina's grown in-shell peanuts. America's favorite snack and America's favorite sport. A match sure to please. This message is brought to you by Virginia Carolina's peanut farmers. To learn more about peanuts, visit the website aboutpeanuts.com. That's right, aboutpeanuts.com. Enjoy a bag of peanuts today.
Hey folks, it's Mike Morgan for Gibson Insurance. Former Gamecock player Bo Mobley and former coach Stuart Lake want you on their team for all your insurance needs. Now, cost-effective solutions is what they're all about for the now and for the long term. They're licensed with every insurance company in the state. They've got offices in Columbia, Greenville, and Sumter. But if you're listening right now, let me direct you to call Bo and Stu today at 803-605-0029. That's 803-605-0029. Let my good friends take great care of you.
If an insurance company is there to sell you insurance, shouldn't it also be there to service it with real people? At Farm Bureau Insurance, we're here to help with experienced agents ready to provide personal service when you need it most. Call today for your free no-obligation review for auto, home, and life insurance that's custom tailored just for you.
Whether it's home, auto, or life insurance, Buddy Bridges and Farm Bureau Insurance have the right policy for you. Call Buddy today in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174.
South Carolina Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, Southern Farm Bureau Casualty Insurance Company, Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi.
Recruiting time here on Sports Talk. Remember, lunchtime tomorrow, that's Seawell's for the best daily luncheon buffet anywhere in the entire Milky Way galaxy. From 11 to 2 o'clock, for only $13, you'll be well fed. You'll come out stuffed like a stuffed potato. That's how you'll feel. Well, you won't. I mean, look, you'll eat as much as you eat. If you overdo it, you'll feel stuffy. If you do just right, you'll come out feeling okay. Just don't overeat. But the point is, you can have as much as you want, and it's all good. Make sure you check it out. 11 to 2, Monday through Friday at Seawell's, and the best in the catering business, of course, the Seawell's family and staff. They've been doing it for about 80 years. 803-771-7385. SeawellsCateringSC.com. The 2024 recruiting class in the state is going to feature at least 3 highly acclaimed offensive linemen: Cam Pringle of Woodland, Blake Franks of Greenville, and Josiah Thompson of Dillon. All 3 have offers from USC, Clemson, and multiple Power 5 offers. Thompson, 6'7", 290. His offers include the Gamecocks, Tigers, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Miami, Duke, Tennessee, Florida State, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, Louisville, Michigan State, Notre Dame, Georgia, and LSU. He had Notre Dame in there twice for some reason. He camped at USC and Alabama, made unofficials to those 2, along with Clemson and Miami. Told us the recruiting process is going great. He's starting to add schools to his list and feels good about that. And it's going to be narrowing his list down after his junior season. He did grow up a USC fan. His father was a walk-on offensive lineman for the Gamecocks under Brad Scott. So he said South Carolina stands at a high point. Most definitely will be one of his top schools. Been in contact with them since his freshman year. They were his first offer. Eric Wolford offered him. Of course, he's now at Alabama. Now he speaks to Greg Atkins at South Carolina. He likes the atmosphere and the coaches at South Carolina. Says you can talk to the coaches anytime. They always make time for him. Clemson also on his mind about as much as USC is. And he said he'd say about the same thing about Clemson as the Gamecocks. Have been talking a lot to Thomas Austin. Relationship there is getting stronger. As for out-of-state teams, he said Miami is making the hardest push. Alabama also a factor. He'll go to games this fall at USC and Clemson. Gaffney linebacker Brayshawn Littlejohn, 6'2", 220, plans to announce a commitment Saturday. Among his offers are Missouri, Charlotte, Appalachian, Georgia State, Colorado, Marshall, and South Alabama. 6'7" Cohen Carr of Greenville Early College committed to Michigan State tonight. He had USC and Clemson among his offers, along with several others. And 2024, 6'4", Cam Scott of Lexington picked up another big-time offer. This one was from Georgetown. And that is the one more. USC women in the top 10 was 6'5" Blanca Thomas of Charlotte. They also have company with North Carolina, Tennessee, Louisville, NC State, Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, Stanford, Michigan, and Duke. And that'll do it for recruiting tonight. Here is a little piece of Will Muschamp. I just want to get this on tonight since we were talking about it. And I know, those many Gamecock fans are longing to hear that voice again.
No doubt.
here he is from a press conference today. No mention of South Carolina, but here he is just kind of talking about being on this staff with Kirby Smart, his good friend, his former teammate at Georgia, being brought back there to work on the defensive side.
First of all, I really appreciate the opportunity. Coach Smart gave me the opportunity to come back to my alma mater, to here to Georgia, to live in Athens. It's been an awesome experience, obviously. But an unfortunate situation with Coach Cochran and handling that, and certainly was ready to step on the field and do. I've asked players as a head coach and a coordinator and a position coach for a lot of years to do the best job you can in your role in the organization. And when I was an analyst, I wanted to do the best job I could do to be an analyst. When I was asked to be the special teams coordinator and work with the safeties and stars, then that's what I was do the best job I can do there. And that's the way I've always approached things in your role in the organization, and do the best job I can do for Coach Smart. Well, that's great. I mean, it's, again, I appreciate Coach Smart giving me the opportunity to be here. Obviously, I think Mike's a great addition for us. Brian McClendon's a great addition for us. Todd Hartley, another Georgia graduate. All of those guys are guys that I'm more familiar with. Coach Smart and Coach Bobo and Coach McClendon. I'm getting to know Todd in the last year. The guy's an outstanding football coach. But all of those guys have a vested interest in the University of Georgia. And not that we didn't know other places, but at the end of the day, this is where you went to school. And certainly glad to be here. But I enjoy working with people. I told the players one night when I was talking to them, we spend more time with you guys and our coaching staff than we do our own families. I'm not proud to say that, but this is not a job. It's a lifestyle. That's what it is. And so you like to be able to spend time with people you enjoy being around. And we certainly do. And I credit Coach Smart and the staff that he's hired. There's people in the building that you enjoy coming to work because you like what you do, but you also like the people you're working with, and that's important. Well, our entire family. My brother Pat's in Rome. My mom's in Mentone, Alabama. My father passed 7 years ago, last May. But family's important. My wife's family's in Thomaston, Georgia, so it's the first time in our career we've been close and been able to get back and see everybody. And we're a very close-knit family, so that's awesome. Working with a head coach that philosophically you are aligned with, of what you want or how you need to practice, the type players you're looking for in recruiting, how you want to play middle field coverage, how you want to play split safety coverage, how you want to play pattern match. Not to say that we agree on everything, because we don't, but that's healthy. It's healthy to not agree. And so, again, what is your role in the organization? Do the best job you can in the role you have. And if you don't like it, go somewhere else. It's real simple. So I love my role. I told my wife the other day, I think I got the best job in America. And in the day, the room that I have, that I'm honored to coach, the young men in that room, to be at the University of Georgia, to see our future as we continue to unfold and move forward. I'm really excited about it. Well, I think that, first of all, you see a guy that's a great competitor. He's a fierce competitor. And that goes way beyond his coaching days. That's Noontime Basketball Association at Valdosta State. We almost got in several fights, but we've matured since then. But no, he's a great competitor, extremely bright, does a great job with the players as far as relating with the players, motivating the players, continuing to challenge himself, to challenge our staff and our football team on a daily basis for a very high standard. He's got an element of toughness about himself, of knowing what it takes to be successful in our organization and in this league, a great understanding of our league, which I think is a huge part of being successful. You either adapt to what happens in our league. That football stuff's different. I'm talking about recruiting. I'm talking about all the different things that go into being successful in this league. And he certainly has done that and has done a phenomenal job here at Georgia. But a guy that, all around from a staff standpoint, from a roster management standpoint, and the elements of toughness to what we've got to do to be successful. Again, I could probably count on one hand the amount of maybe not so good practices we had last year. Now, that's a lot of credit to our young men on our team because of the leadership and things like that. But that's also the culture that's been set of how we're going to practice at Georgia. You go to a Tuesday practice here, it's a thing of beauty. I mean, that's the way you're supposed to get after it, and it's the way you're supposed to go after it. But it's what it's expected. It's what's set from the top all the way down within the organization, and it's understood that's the way we're going to do things. So again, I credit him with that.
And Thanksgiving is not a holiday; it's a meal. That was his most famous comment in South Carolina in his first year. Thanksgiving. He was asked, "What are you guys going to do for Thanksgiving?" Thanksgiving's not a holiday; it's just a meal, or something like that. I loved it. I thought it was a great answer. I thought it was a great answer. John Whittle tweeted out that USC pitcher, former pitcher Sawyer Bridges, is going to the College of Charleston to join their coaching staff and complete their coaching staff. John Whittle of the Big Spur all over college baseball. So Sawyer Bridges, who's from down that way, is headed to the College of Charleston. Cam Smith is announcing for the LIV Tour, the British Open champion, right? But he still plans to play in the FedEx Cup because he hasn't yet played in a LIV event. So he's still eligible to play on the PGA Tour. And did that judge rule against the LIV Tour? Did I see that? A judge ruled against him?
That's correct. They did. Players were seeking the ability to still play in the FedEx Cup. Now they will not be able to.
All right. On that cheery note, mates, we leave you for tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Thank you, Chris and Pat. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you.